Okay, what's up guys? Paul here with a talking head video tonight on Andrew Tate, the top G who's got so much perspicacity he could drive a Bugatti with his eyes closed. Yeah, put the shades on because that's what he does. He actually wears shades indoors. If you're someone who takes advice from a man who actually unironically wears shades indoors, you need to take a long hard look at yourself. Yes, I am a purveyor of shades. If you follow me on Instagram, YouTube, you've seen me wearing shades in a lot of videos. That's because it's extremely bright where I've been living in Mexico and Thailand over the last couple of years. I do like a pair of shades down at the beach during the daytime. Protects me from squinting my eyes, but indoors, nah. Not for me, not for me. Anyway, let's get on to the point of today's video. So, I've made a couple of videos on the bullworm that is Andrew Tate, the self-proclaimed top G, who is still unable to leave Romania. He's now been released from house arrest, but yes, he is not allowed to leave the country anymore because he is still under investigation for human trafficking and all sorts of other allegations. And so George Janko, who left the Impulsive podcast, flew out to Romania to meet Mr. Tate and interview him. And so actually the destination of Romania is the point of interest for this video. It's the first question that Janko hit him with, and it's one that I love to see him try to squirm away from and squirm out of, trying to explain why he lives in Romania. I already did a video on him clearly lying as to why he chose Romania, claiming that it's a beautiful country and talking about the nature. You can go and check that video if you like, where I completely laughed at that as well. And I brought in True Geordie's clip where he actually showed an old video of Tate clearly stating the reason why he really moved to Romania is because of its macho, misogynistic laws which protect men in cases of domestic abuse and sexual assault, where it's a macho culture where people like Gigi Bacali, a complete and utter homophobe, have been in power for years, where men still have very much the upper hand. It's a very outdated and medieval type society relative to Western norms in today's day and age. So he's always gone on, I had to leave the West. The West is always trying to cancel men and LGBT and all this. But why Romania of all places? There's so many other countries in the world. And his answer here, right, we're going to roll the clip. Jamie, get ready to pull this up. It's just so laughable when he tries to explain why Romania of all the countries in the world. Alright, so we're going to pull up a clip, and it's got particular interest for me as a man living out here in Latin America. I spent 3 months in Colombia. Now I've almost completed the year in Mexico, so I've got a lot of input into especially the points that he makes about Latin America. Jamie, roll the clip. Cheers. Okay, clip is about to roll here. Going to get the shades on because it's Andrew Tate.
It's a long way to come. It's kind of the forgotten part of the world. I'm not Romanian, but I certainly put Romania on the map. I don't feel like anyone talked about Romania ever.
Ever. And why did you come here?
I decided to leave the West. I can give you a very happy, funny answer. Do you want happy, funny Andrew, or do you want serious, the world is ending Andrew? There's two different versions.
Let's start. I want both. I want both versions of you.
Sure. Well, I think that the Western world is in serious decline, and that literally in real time you can see it falling apart. So you have to find somewhere else to live, and the world's not really that big. I think that the values which held the Western world together at some point have been proven to be false, and all of it is a lie. I feel like all of the metrics in which you can measure the success of a society, the Western world is failing in. So once you accept that, you say, okay, the West is failing. It's on its way down. I can't live in the West. And then you look at a map and you look at South America, which is very dangerous, and I'm not South American and I don't speak Spanish. And then Eastern Europe, which is where we are now, preserves its culture via religion, and they have some other societal, what's the word I'm looking for? Traditions, which certainly preserve the culture better. It's a slower decline. So I felt like this might be a good place to live.
You all hear that? For some reason, he has South America and Romania as his two 50-50 binary options. He's on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. There's two places left in the world that he can go to. Romania or South America. What about Asia, Australia, Africa, there's a lot of huge developing countries you could go and try. In Africa, for example, if you want to get out of the West. But let's just imagine it really does come down to this ridiculous choice of South America or Romania. All right, and let's include my current beloved home of Mexico, even though he said South America if you want to be a stickler. But for all intents and purposes, we know that when we talk about South America, for the most part, Mexico is included in that cultural conversation, because most people just confuse it, and it's Latin America we're talking about. Geographically, yes, Mexico, Central America, along with Guatemala and Belize and other countries around here. But yeah, when people talk about South America, they're generally talking about Latin America and including Mexico. So, all right, the first thing he said about the reason for why he had to X off and rule out South America is because the self-proclaimed top G, who's got so many Bugattis that he doesn't even know what to do with them, he's too afraid, he's too pussy to come out here to Latin America. He said it himself. It's very dangerous. Like your nan would say after reading a headline in the Daily Star, something about drug trafficking through Colombia or something. I mean, mate, are you for real that you believe all the Netflix documentaries that you've seen, and you wouldn't actually want to come out and sample it for yourself? The self-proclaimed top G warrior who's not afraid of anything, and he's too scared. He admitted it himself. It's too dangerous. Well, Tate, let me explain something to you. I've got a message for you. Come on out here. I promise you'll be absolutely fine. We'll take good care of you here in Playa del Carmen. It's a mecca of peace and love, of people meditating on the beach and playing volleyball and just having fun. There's no danger here. Oh, no. Most certainly not. So, for my year in Mexico, there was one failed robbery attempt on me. That was a complete outlier, completely out of the blue. Anyone I've explained that story to is completely shocked by it. It happened in broad daylight. It was an attempted robbery of my baby camera here, which of course was a failed attempt. Apart from that, that's just one incident which I've completely forgotten about. Other than that, let's talk about a far more important story, anecdotal story that I can tell you from just a couple of weeks ago. A man literally took the shirt off his back to give to me. He took the shirt off his back. He gifted me, a Mexican lad gifted me his Club Racing, it's an Argentinian football club, shirt. I told him I liked it, and he just gave it to me. The countless generous acts I've received, be it when I'm doing my photography, people constantly trying to give me beers, give me food, invite me to their homes, invite me all over Mexico. It's so much love here. So please, Tate, don't be so pussy and don't believe everything like your nan who's sitting there watching the soaps and reading the newspapers and believing every exaggerated story about Latin America. Yes, of course, we know there are dangers in Latin America. Certain cities where there are massive organized crime hotspots create those disproportionate statistics. All right, so a place like Playa del Carmen has really low crime, but then other places, such as, for example, Ciudad Juarez, over the last number of 10 years, has been a hotspot for organized crime. So that creates this disproportionate sense of inseguridad, of insecurity and lack of safety. In real day-to-day life, on the ground, it's so safe, it's so loving, it's all good, it's all peace and love. So don't be afraid, Tate. All right, you really, I'm surprised at you, man, because for all the things I think about you, I thought you were at least a brave dude. I know physically you're brave. I know you've been in the ring as a kickboxing champion to a greater or lesser high level. I'm not quite sure how high the level was in kickboxing. That's another argument. But yeah, let's give him his props for his kickboxing. But then to come to a new country takes cojones, takes huevos, takes balls, all right? A different type of balls than getting in the ring. It takes going away from your family and going away meeting new friends and coming into a whole unknown. And I just thought he had a bit more about him to come and try somewhere like Playa del Carmen, Rio de Janeiro, in Brazil, maybe Medellin, Colombia. Because aren't you the top G who's always gone on about your harem of women? And don't you know the fame of how amazingly sexy and beautiful Latina women are? With all due respects to Romanian women, I'm never going to be a man who's going to say, oh, such and such women are not attractive. That's not what I'm saying. But I think we could all agree that Latina women have a greater conventional beauty standards. I mean, everyone's got their types and tastes. Maybe he does prefer Romanian women over Latinas, but I don't think I've ever heard someone saying, I'm going out to Romania for the pussy. Like, I'm going out there to meet all the hot women in Romania. I've heard that about Thailand, Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, Poland, Ukraine. I've never heard it about Romania. So yeah, another reason why a man like him, you would think he would have tried South America, would be for the plethora of beautiful women from all nationalities and all different skin tones and body shapes. It's amazing. But no, he opted for Romania because he was too scared. And then the next reasons he cites just have no logic to them. A guy who claims to be a sort of modern day Socrates and who can win any debate with his perspicacity and his amazing intellect. My man said the reason he couldn't come to live in South America is because he's not South American. Yeah, but Brev, you ain't Romanian either. And by definition, by leaving your native UK, Luton, the most dangerous city in the UK, so he claims, you have to get out to a safer place. Yeah, if you move to France, you wouldn't be French. If you move to Portugal, you wouldn't be Portuguese. Same goes for Iceland, you wouldn't be Icelandic. And on we go. So, what are you talking about? I was just obviously stating the bleeding obvious. You're not South American. I'm not South American. I live here in Mexico. So, and you're not Romanian. You have to be a foreigner to come to live in a new country. You follow? I mean, I feel like I feel dumb just explaining that point. And then the language. He said, I don't speak Spanish. Well, yeah, it's the second most spoken language in the world after Mandarin. But we're talking Mandarin, Spanish and English are the top three, right? Depends if you're talking about how widespread or in terms of numbers. Romanian is way down the list. All right, so okay, you don't speak Spanish. Would you not have found it a more interesting language to learn than the far more obscure Romanian, which isn't going to serve you anywhere outside Romania? And you don't actually need to speak that good Spanish in Mexico. Mexico is right under the USA. So many Mexicans are perfectly bilingual. Chicanos who have been going back and forth between both countries. They have family up in the USA, or they've just grown up on American hip-hop culture. So many of them are so good at English. The general level of English here is gotta be considerably higher than in Romania. Because you say that when you were locked up in the cockroach-ridden, infested jail cell, that you didn't even know what you were in for the first month, such as your complete lack of Romanian. Yes, Andrew Tate, despite years of living in Romania, still cannot speak a lick of the language. This country that he claims to love, Romania is guarding its values, and it's not like the West, it's still got its perspicacity and it's still keeping those traditional values. If you love the culture so much, why have we never seen like a Romanian friend on your Instagram? Or correct me if I'm wrong, maybe he does have some Romanian friends. Why haven't you learned a bit of language then? If you've been there for 4 years, maybe 5? And so yeah, it would be a harder language than Spanish too. So not only had you come to Mexico, you wouldn't even need to know that good Spanish. You would learn it quicker because it's a smoother and easier language than Romanian. And we've got the reggaeton revolution, for example. Bad Bunny is taking over the world with his reggaeton. You're hearing Spanish in a lot of places these days. You ain't hearing Romanian at the club, are you? Apart from what song? Was that song Romanian? Bresca, Bresta, Noma, Noma, yeah. Maybe that was Romanian. That was a one Romanian smash pop hit, yeah? So yeah, you're not South American and you don't speak Spanish. That's the best you could come up with to say why you couldn't come and live in Latin America? Oh, and also you were too pussy, you were too scared. But then you went to live in Romania. You're not Romanian and you don't speak Romanian. Still, to this day, my guy does not speak a lick of Romanian. How funny was that, by the way? Come on, let's be honest. When he was locked up in the jail cell and he couldn't even read the legal documents, he needs a translator for his lawyer after all the years preaching about how great Romania is. That wouldn't have actually happened to him in Mexico. For example, a lawyer that he would have been able to procure here would be bilingual in English, and he wouldn't need a translator, and the documents would have been given to him in most likely Spanish and English. Alright, so there we go. That's the video on Andrew Tate, Mr. Perspicacity with Bugattis, who still can't leave Romania on human trafficking charges. Pussied out. Know this. Your guy, Mr. Red Pill, the guy so many young men aspire to be and hang off his every word, is too scared, too pussy basically, too much of a coward to come out to Latin America. Scared for his safety because he believes all of the newspaper stories you hear, the disproportionate stories you hear about the lack of safety on this amazing subcontinent. So let me know what you guys think about Andrew Tate pussying out of trying Latin America and instead making the decidedly, irrefutably, as we can see now what's happened to him, worst choice by moving to the obscure nation of Romania, Bucharest. Would any of you go and live in Romania? Nothing against Romania. Let me know in the comments if you have a choice between Latin America, the Latina mamacitas, the reggaeton, the food, the weather, the colors, the sights and sounds, or Romania. Which one would you choose? If you couldn't speak either language and you're not from either country, obviously, because that's what has to happen when you go to another country, you're not going to be from there. Which would you choose? I know which I'm choosing. I literally have chosen that one. And yeah, there we go. That's a wrap on the Andrew Tate video. Cheers, guys.